Here's a Hanukkah story that I tell every Hanukkah, and it is a purely Hanukkah story. The story begins as a tremendously in the city of Baghdad. This is, let's say, 100 years ago, and a fantastically rich Jew has invited people to his house for Shabbat, and every Shabbat he does invites people to his house for Shabbat. But he has a very strange practice, and the practice is that he invites everyone for Shabbat, but in the middle of the table is this dirty oil bottle, oil body, a dirty broken bottle that once had in it oil, but it's all dirty and it's in the middle of the table. So it's very incongruous. It doesn't fit to be in the middle of the table. And the servants come and they bring the next course, and they clean off the table before the next course, and they leave the bottle there. And the bottle is there from the beginning of the meal until the end of the meal. So all of the guests say thank you very much. One guest says that, excuse me, but he wants to know what is the story with this broken bottle. Why is it in the middle of the table? It's not fitting at all. There's such beauty and splendor, and everything is expensive, and the food was the best, and the dishes and the food. What happened? So he says, I'm glad you asked me the story. I want to tell you what it is in a second. So he said like this. The owner of the house says, when I was a young boy, as my father was a big businessman and he never had time for me. What's that? No, no. Shalom. So my father didn't have time for me. And so my grandfather, he brought me up. My grandfather, he was always at home. So he would wake me up in the morning and he would wash my hands in the morning. You know, religious Jews wash their hands. It was a religious Jew. He washed his hands and he would say the morning blessings with me. He would give me a sandwich, take me to the door, and before he would send me off to go to school, he would give me a kiss on the forehead and lift his hands up to heaven and say, Va'ani ana ani ba. Which ana ani, and I had no idea what it was talking about. What was it talking about? This was the sentence that Reuven said when he came back to the pit that all of the brothers had thrown Yosef into. And Reuven's plan was to take Yosef out of the pit and save him. So all the brothers threw him into the pit, and Reuven went away briefly, and he came back to take Yosef out of the pit, and Yosef was already gone. The brothers had sold him into slavery. So he said, Yosef is not here. Va'ani anani ba. Where will I go? What can I do when my father's going to see that Yosef isn't here? He loves him so much. Ani and I, anani ba. Where am I going to go? So this big businessman, right? So he explains. So my grandfather used to give me a kiss on the forehead every day. Say, and I, where am I going to go? Ani ba. And I had no idea what it meant. So I learned later on in school about the story with Reuven and how the brothers threw Yosef in the pit, and that Reuven came back to save him, right, when the brothers weren't there, and he was gone already. He had already been sold. And Reuven said, okay, I learned that, but I had no idea what it meant. He said, after a short amount of time, one day I came home and everybody was crying. What happened? They took Grandpa to the hospital. And then a couple of days later, everyone was crying even more. The Grandpa died. So my father, he had to bring me up. So my father, he would take me to his office every day. He didn't want to leave me alone at home. And he took me to his office every day. And he brought a special teacher to teach me. But I was listening to what was going on, the business deals that my father was making. And I didn't hear a word that my teacher taught me because I was listening to this business. And well, tragedy struck shortly thereafter. When I was 15 years old, my father suddenly passed away. And so they decided that they were going to dissolve the whole business, put the money away in the bank or something. And then when I was 20, they would give me the money back. And I said, no, I want to run the business. Give me a month and see how I do. There was a board of directors. So they said, okay, we'll see if you make any really big mistakes or you make really bad decisions, is then they'll dissolve the business. I said, okay, no problem. So sure, I took to the business like a fish takes the water, and it was tremendously successful. By the time I was like 23 years old, 24 years old, I was a multimillionaire, and my name was known by all of the big rich people in Iraq and in Baghdad. And but the thing was is that the more I rich that I became, the more I left Torah and the commandments. And the more I abandoned Torah and the commandments, the more rich I became. It was hard to keep Shabbat with all these big business deals going down, and it wasn't nice to have my tzitzis out, and even to wear tzitzit at all, and wind up with a kippah. I didn't want to be different from everybody else, so I dressed like everybody and I act like everybody else. And that's it. I became fantastically rich, very successful. One day I was walking home from a massive business deal that I had just made, and I saw sitting on the curb a little Jewish boy crying. You say he had payos on, he had his kippah. So I said to the boy, "What are you crying for?" So the boy said, "Oh, thank you, mister. I really appreciate it. But this is, you wouldn't understand. This is only for Jewish people, but I really appreciate it." So I said, "My young man, I'm Jewish." And I looked at myself. I thought, I really don't look Jewish at all. So he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it." So the little boy said, "I'll tell you what." He said, "We're very poor in our family. There's 7 children. My father is sick, and my mother has to keep the household. We're always very poor." And my mother said, today in the morning, she said, "Tonight is going to be Chanuka." Oh, the kids were very happy. He said, "But we don't have any money. We can't buy any oil. We can't." So I said, "Don't worry. We'll look through the whole house. Maybe we'll find something." And that's what we did. All the 7 children, all the 7 children, we looked around, and sure enough, my sister found a coin, which was behind the chair or a desk or something like that. And so it was enough money that I could go and buy a bottle of oil. So we were very happy, and we sang, we danced, and I ran. My mother said, "Run to the store because it's getting late and the store is going to close soon, and buy a bottle of oil and come back home." So I ran to the store, and sure enough, I got there just as he was closing, and I went in and I bought a nice bottle of oil. And I was coming home with it. This little child is telling this rich man, right? Says, "I'm running home with the bottle of oil, and I'm thinking, what a wonderful miracle this is. And now we're going to light the candles, and it's going to be happy, and mother will be happy, and maybe she'll stop crying, and everything, the world will be good. Maybe we'll even find some more money, and God will do more miracles. Maybe God will even bring Mashiach, and then everyone will be happy." And I was sunk in my thoughts, and I didn't realize what I was doing. The child says, "I was sunk in my thoughts. I didn't realize, and I tripped over a stone, and I fell down, and the bottle flew up out of my hands, and I watched in horror as the bottle came down and fell on a rock, on a stone, and it broke, and all the oil spilled out. Va'ani ana ani bo." And me, where am I going to go? He said the same sentence that the rich man's grandfather had said long ago. So as the rich man said, I heard this young man say the sentence, and I remembered my grandfather as though my grandfather's face was in front of me, giving me a kiss on the forehead, saying, "Where am I going?" I realized my grandfather must have seen in the future, or sensed in the future, that I was going to fall so low. And I thought to myself, that bottle is me, and the oil that spilled out is my soul. And it is spilled out, and I've lost it, and I was shaken. So I stuck my hand in my pocket, I pulled out a whole big wad of money, and I gave it to the child, and I said, "The owner of the store that just closed lives in this house. Go tell him that Ibrahim sent you, and that he should give you everything that you want, and give you also a servant to send it home with, with you." So the young boy said, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." And he ran to the owner of the store, the grocery store, to buy all these things, a new bottle of oil and wheat and everything. He could buy flour, he could buy, they could be happy. So meanwhile, this rich man said, and I took the bottle and I took it home like in a daze. I set it in the middle of the table and I started to cry. And I realized, look what has happened to me. For money, I have left the most precious thing in the world. I'm like a broken bottle with no oil in it. And suddenly I thought to myself, one second, a Jewish soul can never be poured out. You can always fix it up. So I went looking in the house and I found my grandfather's Chanuka menorah, and I cleaned it up. I put it in the middle of the table, and I found oil. I put it in the things, and I called all of my servants in the house, and I told them that they could have 9 days free, 8 days free. No, everybody leave. Everybody leave. And the first night I made the blessings, the three blessings, and I lit the light, and I said, okay, from now on, I am going to eat only kosher food. I lit the second, I said, from now on, I am going to keep Shabbat. And the third light, I said, now from now on, I am going to put on tefillin. And so it was by the time I got to the eighth light, my soul had rekindled as before. But I leave that bottle in the middle of the table to remind myself where I was and what caused me to return to my true self. That's what Hanukkah does. May the lights of Hanukkah it should kindle the souls of all of the Jews in the whole entire world, that we should illuminate the entire world with the light of love and meaning and blessing as the Jews were intended to do. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on Sunday at 8 o'clock in the morning.